This question is called, Why Do We Fight? Why do we fight? What are we fighting for? Our military men and women have committed their lives to defending us, to laying down their lives if necessary. They believe in the United States and what it stands for. But morale is low. If you ask a veteran, why do we fight? They will tell you, theirs is not to reason why, theirs is but to do or die. The phrase, freedom is not free, makes people go back to fight again upon waking up each day. But what does this mean? If freedom is not free, then you can't have freedom even when you're supposedly free. It's a paradox. Actually, it's a goddamn lie. Let me explain what freedom is. Freedom is your birthright. If you exercise that freedom, you are free. If you don't act, don't stick up for yourself, if you don't use your voice or your expressive abilities, if you don't vote, you are ceding your freedom to someone who will take over, take control of your life. The military routinely does this to its people so that they think they don't have a choice. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Everyone has a choice every day to exercise his freedom. It's only when you stop exercising your freedom that you lose it. And many people have lost their will to do anything about all the misery because they feel hopeless. I'm saying, please, save yourself from this tyranny, from believing that freedom isn't free. Go out and vote for a decent human being who will put your well-being above government contracts to make more weapons. The weapons of mass destruction are right here, in our own country. Do we really need them when we are being eaten alive by cancer inside our very own borders? Eisenhower warned in his farewell speech, quote, "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes," unquote. If the reason we are fighting is for democracy, then it's ironic that we do not live in a democracy. I cannot stress this enough. Our votes are not getting counted properly. If we allow the ones who control our ballot boxes to flip the switch and make the loser win, we will never change this thing. We have to stand and be counted if our government refuses to count us properly. I urge you to stand at your polling place until every vote is counted correctly at 8 o'clock p.m. Then take every means possible to stand at your state's capitol and demand the governor recount the vote if necessary. If I were quiet and did not act, am I not assuring my children and grandchildren to inherit a hell of a place where we ignore droughts, floods, extreme temperatures, the melting of ice caps, the rising of the seas, and instead focus on money above all else? Even if it means creating a world where buzzard drones fly overhead, terrorists to our communities and those of our friends? If I were quiet and did not act, I would be a party to this violent behavior that shapes our world. Freedom is measured by your vote and your voice being able to make a difference. It is your only opportunity left to organize a peaceful protest of the powers that be. If we can't trust our government to count our votes, are we really free? Then I ask you again, what are we fighting overseas for? And Andre, you can start just to make a comment on this freedom isn't free thing, that is a bogus reason for us going into war.
Well, as I'll say this, freedom is not free. We have to fight for our freedom. However, the wars that we're fighting are not for our freedom. Our freedom is based on the internal infrastructure. And we need to be free from the tyranny of our government right now. The tyranny of international conglomerates that have bases here in this country. The freedom from huge corporations across this country just stripping the wealth from every class structure in our nation. Freedom to actually raise our children in an environment where they don't have to fear the next war, the next famine, the next drought, where they don't have to fear their mother and father losing their jobs, losing their home, or the fear of not having that next meal. True freedom is knowing that you have a real opportunity. You have the same opportunity as everyone else.
Okay.
You have the same rights, God-given rights, not more given by the government, because when the government begins to give rights, they're infringing on other ones. We have got to know that true freedom can only exist outside of the government-run infrastructure. That's when we have true freedom. I'm not saying we don't need a government in place. What I'm saying is the government does not need to run our lives, nor do they need to choose our battles for us.
Okay, Harry?
I would just comment, Judy, that voting really doesn't accomplish. I mean, that's the problem with that is, A, there's no way to verify votes from computer voting systems. They're easy to hack, and all those votes are counted in secret by private corporations like ES&S. So there is no way to know whether your vote got counted properly or not. Now, we could just use paper ballots like they do in Canada and other countries, but no, we've gone to these very expensive and very complicated, unverifiable systems. But I want to make another point here that's very important. When you vote in a Republican form of government like we have, because we're a republic, not a democracy, you give all of your political power to that person you just voted for, who's going to go off to their office and get bribed in secret by thousands of lobbyists. The idea of a democracy is that you don't ever give up your political power with a vote. Because how many times have we heard, including President Obama, make all sorts of promises and claims in the campaign, and then he becomes president and he sides with the bankers?
Well, I have a question. You just said that our votes aren't getting counted properly, but we should vote democratically. So how do you suggest that we should
not use private corporations to count our votes?
We should do it by paper vote.
When votes get counted in Canada, there are new television cameras all around. Citizens are all around as they're putting the papers in the proper stack. We don't do that anymore.
And we need to.
I have no idea who won the last several elections because you have to believe ES&S, which counts all those votes in secret, and then they come out and announce the results.
Right.
That is a fraud.
Right.
That's all that is. I'm making the point that the point is when you don't want to just vote for someone and give them all your political power, and then when it comes time to make the policy decisions, they're all made in secret with the lobbyists.
Right.
That's what's wrong with our government. What we need is a democratic form of government so the citizens not only get to have our representatives voted for, hopefully in a verifiable way, but more importantly, it's the citizens who will have the final say on anything the Congress does, anything the President does, or anything the Supreme Court does.
All right, James.
That's the difference.
James,
that's democracy. That's what we should be fighting for.
We're talking about the freedom is not free idea, and what is your take on that?
Well,
why do we fight? I mean, really, what are we fighting for?
Well, I thought that your statement is very good, Judy, and I think it's accurate, and it's really the human dilemma on the planet Earth. It shows, I mean, all the answers are wonderful, and the whole thing is a mess. I don't want to be biblical or Mayan or whatever, but obviously I see an end to all this. And it's totally, our government is corrupt, as almost all governments are corrupt. And it would we'd have to have a revolution, burn it all down, start over. And that would be chaos in itself. And so most people realize we could change it all, but then it'll be even worse, and then who's going to run that? The human dilemma on the planet Earth is a mess. Freedom is not free. Our troops, we have to honor them. Anybody who gives up their life for somebody else is honorable to the highest degree. There's nothing greater. Unfortunately, we've all been misused. All of us are being misused, manipulated, and controlled. And we want freedom, and our votes aren't counted, and the whole thing's a mess. It really is a mess. It's been a mess for a long damn time. It's like we're all Jesus and we're all on the cross, and Caesar has conspired with the high priest of Israel. The whole planet Earth is a mess, and the way it's going, we're heading into a collision course, and who's going to take over is nature.
Okay, so let's all just have sex. I'm joking. I'm joking, but I'm not really joking. Hold on a second. I gotta have a drink.
Our country,
Make
no.
love, not war, right.
There's a lot of good things. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do anymore because it's like we've been taken over. It's like describing what Andre says, the police, the army overseas, they're all against us. Everybody's against us. We've been taken over.
Well, if you take your,
For
if
good reason.
you know, if we took, their, hold on, guys, let the woman speak. You know, if you took away the soldier's paycheck.
No, it's not about money, folks. It's about power.
Yeah, but still,
We print money.
a soldier has to eat.